Two fishermen have come under attack from a massive great white shark.
Once he opens his mouth, really black eyes, but when he bit the motor, his eyes turn white.
A small group of orcas is causing a lot of damage to boats.
I start taking my nap, and 30 minutes later, boom.
Someone was behind me, and then all of a sudden I felt my stomach getting pulled underwater.
The top predator in the ocean, they're capable of attacking and killing, all kinds of species that are around them.
Heading out into the ocean means attacking the terrors lurking in the shadows of limitless depths. Horrific encounters, drop-dead close calls, or spectacular sightings of unseen predators. Hold your breath to look into the most shocking moments captured in the ocean that terrified the whole world.
Oh my God!
This video will show us what not to do when you encounter one of the most ruthless marine creatures on the planet. These eager boaters were trying to bait out sharks when suddenly their wish came true. A gigantic great white came close enough for them to clearly see it through the waves.
Oh my God!
And here's where they messed up. I know most are excited to see a creature like this, but whenever you're in shark territory, it's never safe to put your hand close to the shark. Otherwise, it'll see you as food. Luckily, this one only got the boat, but it shows us how quickly they can change. Relentless charge. This is what happens when you decide to deep-sea fish on a kayak. This hammerhead started to pursue the kayaker, who immediately picked up this paddle, ready to defend himself. As soon as the hammerhead got close, the kayaker struck the hammerhead, which didn't even budge. This was certainly an unusually scary encounter, because hammerheads don't usually charge at humans. So for this one to actively seek out the paddleboarder and repeatedly charge at him is unusual. Fortunately, the paddleboarder kept a firm grip on the board, struck back accurately, and managed to escape the area of continuous terror and strikes. GoPro Orca. A paddleboarder's venture into the open sea became one of his most memorable moments when an orca decided to join him. At first, the killer whale casually swam just beneath the board, but suddenly, the orca decided to get even closer, but this time from an angle where it could clearly see the paddleboarder. Now, it's easy for all of us to think the orca is going to hurt the man, especially when it gets up close and personal. But orcas are incredibly smart, as scary as it looks. This killer whale is just curious to see who's floating on water. Great white thief.
Well, just move the rod. Whoa!
These fishermen were hoping for a big catch, but they never knew they'd get more than what they asked for. Throwing out these fish in the sea is bound to get a bigger one trailing behind them. And just a few minutes in, they know they're being followed. They probably assumed they'd caught the attention of mahi-mahi, but nope, that's right. That's a shark. A fish stealing one too.
Well, just move the rod. Whoa!
It happened so quick, the fishermen barely got time to react, and when they did, they could only express their shock.
Reel him out there. Reel that one.
Now as for me, well, I never knew sharks could leap out of the air like that.
Whoa!
Push to the air. Countless fishing boats managed to line hundreds of striped bass in Cape Cod Bay, only for their catch of the day to get stolen by an unexpected visitor, and this close too. Thankfully, the whale didn't tip their boat over, but it sure gave them a heck of a scare. It all happened so quickly, the boaters barely had time to process that they'd lost all of the fish they managed to catch. But by the time they realized, it was too late. Surfer versus shark. Not many can claim they've survived a shark encounter. And one surfer's encounter is so thrilling, it might even inspire its own movie. Mick Fanning, a 3-time world champion surfer from Australia, was surfing the waves when he met an unexpected foe. A shark suddenly yanked his surfboard from below, leaving him to fend for himself against the terrifying creature. To the horror of onlookers, the shark continued to swim toward Fanning, who managed to escape the tackle just like a movie superhero. Luckily, Fanning was a strong swimmer and managed to get out of the terrifying situation, choosing the end.
On the boat. Dude.
The tarpon jumped on.
Not many can escape the jaws of a shark and live to tell the tale, but one fish lucked out. Boaters spotted the poor tarpon struggling to escape the mighty predator. Which didn't lose the chase for a second. After what seemed like ages for the tarpon, it managed to find a way out, onto the boat.
Dude.
The tarpon jumped on.
Naturally, it struggled for a while because it was no longer in the water, but even then, it refused to go back in until the hammerhead swam away. Well, as for the hammerhead, there's plenty of fish in the sea. A stupid decision.
That was a bad idea.
Rule 1 of swimming in shark territory is that you shouldn't swim in shark territory. But hey, I guess this daredevil didn't get the message, as he quickly dove right in, even when he could see the shark. I guess he assumed it was a nurse or a basking shark, which rarely charge at humans, but he quickly realized something was wrong with the way the shark reacted.
That was a bad idea. Get on the boat.
His friend almost told him it was a great white, but stopped because it would only have freaked him out more. Well, that's one lesson well learnt.
That was a bad idea.
Orca's vengeance.
We lost both rudders.
Captain Daniel Chris faced an unexpected challenge while delivering a catamaran in the Canary Islands. An orca attack, reminiscent of a similar experience he had earlier. During the journey, his boat was hit hard, and video footage showed an orca smashing against and breaking off a rudder. With both rudders lost, the boat barely made it to Barbate, Spain, relying solely on its motors. We still don't know why the orca targeted the boat. Many assume one of the hundreds of fishing boats may have hurt an orcapod, so the marine creatures are seeking revenge.
We lost both rudders.
Almost swallowed alive. Coast divers exploring Morro Bay, California, were more than excited when they finally grabbed the attention of humpback whales in the area. They had baited out massive schools of fish in the water, hoping the whales would lunge feed in front of them. Well, they got their wish, and more than they asked for. 2 humpbacks decided to lunge feed right next to the divers. The marine giants almost swallowed them. No wonder they're scurrying quickly back toward their boat. Swimmer's close call. Let's just be glad this eager swimmer had a friend guiding him, but we can all admit his reaction makes sense. If a predatory creature, no matter what kind, swam right below me, and even brushed my stomach, I would definitely faint right then and there. Thankfully, he was able to escape without triggering the shark, which seems to be enjoying its day. A helpful hand. A couple of kayakers were struggling to get up and close to whales surfacing nearby.
Contanos qué se siente. Estoy filmando.
so the gentle giants decided to lend a helping hand. The kayakers are understandably surprised. After all, who would expect to get a ride from a whale? But it looks like these whales knew exactly what they were doing. They may be gentle, but they can easily flip boaters. So this proves the marine creatures were simply having harmless fun. Now, as fun as it is to see this, I would still be pretty terrified if this happened to me.
Terrible!
Sea lion charged beachgoers.
Beachgoers run for their lives as a ferocious sea lion suddenly races out of the water.
This is what happens when you choose to sunbathe at a beach known for its sea lion sightings. Sea lions emerged out of nowhere, but luckily everyone took action and pulled the young ones out of the water. However, the sudden visit didn't end there. It seems like this sea lion really wanted to pursue beachgoers, as it quickly made its way to the shore.
Before the mayhem started, you can see a sea lion casually coming ashore.
Now, here's where it gets even crazier. It might look like the sea lion is angrily moving toward the people, but if you focus at the back, it's clearly headed for another sea lion. So, these beachgoers simply stumbled between an upcoming tussle between the two sea lions, probably over some fish. Tipping into the depths. Wildlife photographer Dale Frank specially traveled to San Diego so he could witness and capture the beauty of blue whales, which were occasionally seen in the area. Luckily for him, a pair of these majestic creatures surfaced close to him and began lunge feeding. Excited, Frank and his fellow boater positioned their cameras, only to be tossed into the frigid waters. A blue whale managed to surface right next to their boat and tip them over with its fin. Luckily, Frank and his companion managed to swim just beyond the whale's mouth and were saved by a passing boat. A killer whale's curiosity. Most marine enthusiasts dream of coming across a majestic creature like an orca, but you never know how striking the marine animal is until you actually come across one. And one family's close encounter with an orca pod nearly rocked their boat. The group was exploring the waves near Quilcene, Washington, when one of the orcas decided to swim right beneath the boat. Now, you might think it's a casual occurrence, and while orcas typically don't charge humans, it looks like this one played a game of rock, paper, fin before deciding to let the boat roam freely. A thieving snatch. Watch these fishermen proudly boast the giant mahi-mahi they skillfully managed to catch. And yet their happiness was quite short-lived. A seal popped up out of nowhere and snatched one mahi-mahi before the fishermen could even react. Seconds later, and we see a delayed shock. This fisherman is clearly having a hard time comprehending what just happened. Well, at least they still have one giant catch between the two of them.
Did you see what happened to that?
As for the fish stealing, I guess the mahi-mahi's catch earned this fisherman the seal of approval. Sword versus man. This is the luckiest man in the world. That was the craziest swerve. I mean, imagine surviving that. I'd never stop talking about it if it were me. Here's another close call with a sharp-billed marine creature, a 200-pound marlin, which had caught on the fly and was still giving the fishermen a tough time. And then, right when they were least expecting it, it jumped on the boat. You can see the fishermen scrambling to avoid being hurt by the marlin's sharp bill. But that's one heck of a catch! A vicious scare. Now, maybe it's just me, but I find the idea of sailing across the vast ocean in a tiny dinghy quite terrifying, and this kayaker's experience tells me I'm right. This fishing kayaker got quite the surprise visit from a terrifying shark that couldn't be seen from above. So he only realized he'd encountered a predator when it swam above him. Now, I'm not a marine expert, but I'm pretty sure he attracted the shark because he was fishing. Whoa. It seems he's even aware of how lucky he was, because if the shark decided to keep the pursuit, he definitely wouldn't have survived. The fastest flipper. Billed fish like marlins are one of the fastest in the sea, but their hurry to get their prey often lands them in uncomfortable positions, like this marlin here, which jumped right into a fishing boat and barely missed the fisherman by inches. Here's another playback. This incredibly close call was captured by a camera on the fishing boat, and you can clearly see the fisherman did not expect this to happen. Now I know they're worried about being hurt, but that's a big catch. To the moon. In Victoria, BC, onlookers witnessed a shocking display of nature's raw power as T-69C, a male orca from the local orca pod, launched a seal 80 feet into the air. The sight, captured by a drone and onlookers on a nearby boat, shows us just how impressive an orca's power is. But here's where it gets scary. Orcas are reportedly known to play with their prey before eating them. So not only is this a glimpse into Mother Nature, but also how sadistic orcas can be.
Oh!
Oh my God!
Gator hitches a ride.
Oh God! Oh God! God, no!
Most people assume boating in gator-infested water isn't dangerous since they're on the boat, away from the danger. But what would you do when danger hitches a ride on your boat? This nightmarish scenario became reality for a bunch of boaters who were exploring a local river in New Orleans. The alligator ventured close to their boat, and they too edged closer, excited at seeing the mighty creature up close. And here's when the alligator decided it wanted to join. They're lucky the gator didn't climb in. Relentless hammerhead. This is why being out in the open ocean in a teeny tiny kayak is a bad idea. A hammerhead decided to pursue this kayaker, who luckily had his paddle ready to defend himself.
What's he doing?
You can see this hammerhead continues to charge at his kayak, even though its advances are being rebuffed. The poor guy can't even rest for a minute as the hammerhead continues assailing the fisherman. Despite many more kayakers coming to his rescue, in the end, it all turned out okay. But I bet this kayaker will think long about his decision. Jaws, Jaws, and Jaws.
It's being called Jaws on steroids, as literally hundreds of sharks surround a boat in a feeding frenzy.
Forget Jaws. This is a real-life horror movie. Staying calm while your boat is being rocked by hundreds of hungry sharks is bound to make most people nervous, and yet this fisherman keeps a calm demeanor.
Getting soaking wet.
What you're seeing here is a shark feeding frenzy. It happens when a shiver of sharks settles over the same prey, resulting in a vicious fight between Jaws and predators. If you ever make the mistake of coming in between them, survival would be non-existent. Since sharks are solitary diners, it's rare to come across a shark frenzy, especially one as big as this. Florida's finest. Now, I'm not saying it's stupid to come close to a gator, or maybe I am. But whatever the case, let's admit that most of us wouldn't even venture this close to a giant predator, let alone tempted with food. And yet, this Floridian man is too daring for most of us. Look how he's baiting the gator with poultry in hand. I guess this is where the gator decided it would go for the main course instead of the appetizer. It almost even got him! Luckily, a professional trainer was close by and intervened before it got too serious. Persistent otter. This poor guy here was having a really bad time. Most of us assume otters are playful creatures, but they love chasing opponents much bigger than their size. So when this otter decided to chase this teen, he knew he had to fend for himself.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Yeah!
Getting in the water would be too dangerous, so he was forced to stay on the plank.
Cameron, you dipshit! I told you to go in there!
It seems this particular otter knew it was bothering the teen, because no matter how many times he tried to back away, the relentless otter kept pursuing. Eventually, the teen was able to escape from the scary shenanigans and made his way to the dock safely. Shark sub. Seeing something speeding toward you is a terrifying experience already, but imagine never having to find out what it is. These boaters were out exploring the sea when they noticed some weird creature tailing them. And became excited to assume it was an orca or a shark. But soon, they realized the mysterious creature resembled nothing they'd ever seen before. Hopping from wave to wave, the weird creature sparked numerous questions when its video went viral. Many presented their theories. Some suggested it was a shark after all, while others assumed it was a new species. The truth? Probably a buoy with its rope accidentally entangled in a shark's tail. Rib versus bite.
We have a problem.
We don't know a lot about leopard seals, except that when you come across one, it's best for us to swim far, far away. A tourist raft unexpectedly encountered a leopard seal.
We have a problem.
Now, most experienced boaters would swim back to shore, but I guess this expedition team believed it wasn't too dangerous because they didn't even change directions. Naturally, the tenacious leopard seal wasn't going to let them go. Thankfully, it didn't hurt the people on the raft, but took a massive bite out of it. Air started to whiz out of the boat, and the rafters finally got the message and quickly moved closer to the shore.
We have a problem.
A Gentu's relief. Boaters exploring sub-Antarctic islands came across a pod of orca majestically resting in the sea and began taking pictures when they noticed a disruption in the water. One of the orcas in the pod had set its sights on a Gentoo penguin, which was struggling for escape, and suddenly leapt right onto the boat. One of the orcas quickly followed suit and missed the Gentoo by inches. The orca charged at the boat, but decided to give up last minute. Whew! That was a close one for the penguin and the boaters. The Beluga Song. This man cannot contain his excitement. He's out there floating on his kayak and is quite eager to meet the lovely creatures swimming miles below his little floater.
Oh my God!
And here's where it gets exciting. Who knew a beluga song would actually attract the gentle creatures? And it looks like they're enjoying it too. The gentle nudge with which they push the kayaker shows they're keen on playing with him. And that his tunes are clearly serenading them. But here's the craziest thing. The belugas sang back. A stingy scare.
Holy shit, it's a big one too, man. That's no bueno right there, man. It's a big one.
the lesser-known cousin of the stingray. Eagle rays are non-aggressive, but do have a nasty venomous barb at the end of their tails, which is why these boaters are desperately trying to avoid the spotted marine animal.
See the stingers in the back of his tail there, and that tail will whip you and get you really good.
Naturally, coming across an eagle ray in such a narrow space meant these boaters had no choice but to stay at the tips of the vessel, hoping the eagle ray wouldn't swing its stingers toward them. But don't worry, they managed to get the eagle ray off the boat in the end. Trailed by a predator.
Molina, come to the side.
You're doing good.
Yes.
Imagine paddleboarding and having a shark decide it wants to feast on you. Malia here is experiencing this nightmare, but luckily she's got an awesome friend who walks her through the scare.
Molina, come to the side.
You're doing good.
Yes.
Just as Malia reaches the boat, the shark disappears into the water. But this isn't the end. A kayaker close by was also in the hammerhead's range, but wasn't able to assess the situation as quickly. Thankfully, the hammerhead disappeared once again, but probably scared those two marine enthusiasts.
Gabe. Hammerhead shark right here.
An unexpected assailant.
Says this video is actually deceiving, and that bear is much closer to his colleague than
A kayaker in Squamish, British Columbia got the scare of a lifetime when a massive grizzly decided to charge directly in his direction. Onlookers recording the encounter could only pray for the kayaker's safety, who couldn't even go back to shore. Just as the grizzly got close enough to grab the kayaker, the current saved him. It's one of these moments where we're reminded, out in Mother Nature, the only thing that can save us is luck. Who's the surfer? Can you picture being outwitted by a sea otter on a surf trip? Sounds like a comedic tale, but it really did happen. A surfer's day took an unexpected turn when a sea otter, seemingly intrigued by the surfing action, hijacked his board.
Otter just took part of the board. Are you kidding? How's this gonna work out? No way.
Frustrated yet helpless, the surfer watched as the otter continued steering the board away from him. After a few hilarious minutes of pursuit and agony, the otter gave up the surfboard, leaving a very confused surfer in its wake. Savage playfulness. I know orcas don't typically target us, but if I were the dude in this video, I would have passed out. The orca gently nudged him from below, and although it seems like a casual encounter, seeing a giant marine predator brushing past you would freak out most people. To make matters worse, the boat captain is taking an awful time saving this man. But that's not even the worst part. I'm pretty sure this orca knows how intimidating it is. The magnificent creature even blew a bubble at the poor guy. That's a mean way of playing around. Eager stingray. If there's anything stingrays have taught us, it's that you don't mess with them. Their stinger can deliver a pretty nasty blow, so I'm pretty sure whoever was filming this thought that they were safe filming from the dock. But this stingray clearly has had its fair share of visitors, because it knows exactly how to reach them. Luckily, tourists had a marine expert with them, who was unfazed and knew what the stingray was really looking for: heaps of scratches and food. Now, I never thought I'd say this, but I guess stingrays are as adorable as pets.
wow.
An inch escape. This might be the craziest close call you'll ever see. Luckily, all the fishermen were sitting at a distance where the sailfish couldn't reach, although it did try its best. This one quickly disappeared from sight and is probably miles away too, since it's the fastest fish in the ocean. As for the fishermen, I can't believe they even recorded this encounter. As rare as it looks, sailfish occasionally swim up to boats, presumably baited by fish or in pursuit of what they believe is one. I'm just glad I'm far, far away from that sharp bill. Flipping the cards. You may not know it, but river otters can be one of the most ruthless creatures to exist. So these men's panic makes a lot more sense, huh? Although I do believe it worsened the situation for them. To make matters worse, when one of them swam in the opposite direction, seemingly to protect himself, the otter followed him. At first, the other three calmly waited, hoping the otter would leave them alone, but the mammal had other plans. River otters are efficient swimmers, so they can quickly catch up to someone if they want to, which makes me believe this one really wanted to mess with them. Curiosity versus instincts.
The male with the biggest tusks is usually the boss of his group.
We don't typically see walrus interacting with humans, which means we can't predict their behavior. So this unexpected encounter was understandably terrifying for the kayakers. The walrus had clearly been observing the kayakers for a while. Perhaps it wanted to assess them to decide how to react to them. And then, I guess it decided to take a big bite out of one of the kayaks. This is where you really know if you invested in a good kayak or not. Luckily, the two kayakers were able to ward off the walrus. Otherwise, who knows what would have happened? Predator bites predator. In South Carolina, tourists feeding an alligator got more excitement than they bargained for when a shark decided to join in. The shark, seemingly out of the blue, clamped down on the gator's foot, resulting in a very startled alligator, which was clearly caught off guard, but unharmed. The tackle was so sudden, even the tourists were equally shaken by this unexpected encounter. After the video went viral, many assumed the shark had taken a bite to assess if it could feast on the gator. I guess the gator's thick, sturdy hide made the shark change its mind. Mr. Juggles. In Sønderborg, Denmark, people on a boat were in for a treat when they spotted a dolphin turning the sea into its stage. Now, this wasn't just any swim routine. The dolphin was juggling jellyfish, flipping them around with its nose and fins. It's almost like it knew it had an audience and wanted to impress. Watching this, you can't help but wonder, is this playful dolphin just having a good time? Or is it showing off its skills, knowing we're watching? Or maybe it's playing with its prey. Either way, it's a pretty cool sight. A dolphin, a few jellyfish, and a bit of ocean magic. Mega rare. In the waters off San Diego, a group of boaters experienced the extraordinary 2 megamouth sharks, a sight so rare, it's almost like finding oceanic treasure. It's not every day you see these elusive giants, especially up close. Megamouth sharks, only discovered in the late 70s, rarely venture closer to the surface. So seeing 2, and that 2 interacting with the boat and being friendly enough to show themselves, is something no one could ever expect. The 2 megamouth sharks gently rocked the boat with their weight, and once they were done staking it out, disappeared back into the water. Shifting food chain.
Hey,
buddy. We all think sharks sit at the top of the food chain, but who knew this mighty predator would be pushed to the bottom of the barrel? A fisherman off Bonita Springs, Florida, witnessed a rare and surprising moment. A Goliath grouper swallowing a black-tipped shark in one bite. The shark was just 4 feet, but being able to eat that in one go is something you wouldn't expect from a fish. But then again, it's a Goliath grouper. They're pretty massive, so you can expect anything. As for the fisherman, I know he'll be telling this story to his grandkids. A moment's decision. In Christmas, Florida, tourists on a boat got the fright of their lives when an alligator leapt aboard. The reptile, initially observed watching from the riverbank, made a sudden move on the boat's front. The unexpected visitor sent a wave of panic among the tourists. Naturally, everyone wanted to get out. However, the alligator had no intention of staying. It used the boat merely as a springboard to plunge back into the water. Well, that's what happens when you head out to a water body in Florida. Pesky sea lion.
This time he stayed.
Right now I'm sitting on my kayak.
In an adorable yet unexpected moment, one diver's kayak got hijacked by a curious sea lion pup. The baby sea lion had probably exerted itself from playing around all day and realized the kayak was the perfect way to go back home. The diver tried to chase the pup away, but it adorably insisted on staying. If that wasn't enough, the next day, the pup brought along a couple of friends to hijack another kayaker's vessel. Well, who am I to judge? If we use cars, why can't they?
Right now I'm sitting on my kayak, and on my bow is a baby sea lion.
It's time for today's open discussion. You're pretty much setting yourself up for disaster if you venture out into the open sea in a tiny boat, especially if the water is known for its shark population. Shark researchers Jeff Kerr and Andy Casagrande were hoping for a close encounter with the vicious great whites along New Zealand's coastline while filming for the show Lair of the Mega Shark. Yet, when their tiny boat suddenly rocked against the presence of a great white, which eagerly ushered a few of its mates along, the two knew they had made a mistake. Luckily, a Coast Guard was nearby, and the duo were quickly pulled to safety before the sharks could continue devouring the boat. Thank you very much for watching the video. Do like and share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to not miss any of the upcoming amazing videos. Thank you once again.